Welcome back. Today, as part of my chess development, my ongoing attempt to get better at chess, I'm going to try to solve some puzzles on chess.com. Now, I am supposed to be replacing a sink faucet and a drain in our bathroom, but I don't know how long that's going to take and whether or not I'd have a chance to do this afterwards, so I'm going to do this first and then get right to that. Let's just go ahead and switch over to the puzzle board. If you've been following along, you're probably aware that there's a bug or a glitch on chess.com where it won't count the points of the first puzzle if I get it right. If I get it wrong, it will deduct the points, which isn't fair, but I'm going to not let that distract me. I only mention it in case you're counting the points on the screen and realize that the points at the end don't add up correctly. That's because the points of the first puzzle might not be counted unless they've miraculously fixed that after 5 weeks or so. Anyway, let's just get to it. I'm going to do as many as I can in about a half an hour, and hopefully I will learn something, or at least it'll exercise my mind. I am playing with the black pieces in this situation. Let's see, what is the situation here? I am down a full rook, it looks like, but up an extra pawn. I have two passed pawns, here and here. My opponent has a passed pawn on the d file. I do have checks in this position. For example, I could check on c3. I think that's the only one in which my rook doesn't immediately get taken. I could check on, obviously, here, but then they would just take it. I could take the rook, but then they would take my rook, and I wouldn't have a rook left, but I would have these two passed pawns. Would I be able to promote them in time is the question, maybe. Before I don't know, I'm supposed to look for checks first, but I mean, what do they do in the case of this check? They could just come closer to my rook. And then what do? I could get behind that pawn, I guess, but then they come closer, I think, so when I promote and their rook takes and I take, and then they take, and then again, I'm down a rook. So if I check, they could come closer to my rook, or they could come in here. I don't know if they would want to, but they could. If they came in there, I think it might make sense to get behind that pawn. But no, they could still put another rook over here, and then they would have both their rooks pointed at that pawn, and I couldn't promote it because they would have a rook in front of it, and then they could take it on the next turn. So if they went in here, could I check again? I don't think so. I could get behind this pawn, behind their pawn in order to try to take it, but that's if they went up here or down there, I guess, and I got behind their g-pawn. They could just protect it, couldn't they? Oh wait, maybe they can't. Well, if they go down there, it would be harder. If they came up here to get out of check and I got behind their g-pawn, I mean, they could challenge my rook by moving their rook up to f3 where it would be protected by their king, but then I could just take their g-pawn. But I'm still a rook down, so I don't think that's the answer to this puzzle. And that is my only safe check. The only capture that I have in the position is to take this rook. I don't think that's good, but I want to follow it out. Let's assume they would take back, and nothing else would make sense at that point, because if they didn't take back, what would they do? Let's say they would take back, and then what am I supposed to do? I still can't promote this pawn because they're rook on the back rank, but maybe I could move the next pawn, the a pawn, and then what do? Get over here in front of this one? Well, then I move the a pawn again, protecting that one, and then is that it? Is that the answer? Okay, they take back. Let's say that they do that. Well, let's say that they don't, because that would be unexpected, right? So what would the unexpected answer be? I guess getting in front of that pawn? But if they did that, then I save this rook. I don't know where exactly. Bring it back to where it was to continue guarding this pawn, or go over here to get behind their other pawn. Okay, take the rook. I think they would take back, because if they didn't, I would just have a rook, and they would have a rook, and I would be up on pawns. So let's say they take back. I think my best move at that point would be to move my a pawn, because they would need to do something about my b pawn, which I think would mean moving their rook in front of it. But then I would move my a pawn again, and their king's way over there on the f file, can't come over to help. What do they do at that point? They can't move they can't move to the side because I would take with promotion, and if they took this pawn, I would take it. I think that's what I'm going to try. I've already spent enough time on this puzzle, and if we get it wrong, I'll try to find out why on the analysis board, although obviously I would hate to lose the points, but the most important thing is to get better at chess. I just don't see anything better than taking this rook. And I think it looks like I will be able to get my a pawn up here in time, so let's try that. Okay, that was right. They did take with their king as we thought. I'm pretty sure it has to be moving this a pawn because I think I can get it there in time. All right, well, we're going to try it. Okay, they moved their king forward. I didn't expect that. Honestly, I expected them to bring the rook over here. Why would they have brought their king forward? You know what? I just saw something else they could have done. Instead of bringing their king forward, I guess they could have checked me. But yeah, I don't understand that move at all. So that's throwing me off, because if they'd brought their rook over to attack my b pawn, I was going to push the a pawn again, but now I don't know if I should. Is this king coming here to help guard their d pawn coming down? Or to come after mine, so because they already have a passed pawn over here on the g file? But I think I'm closer, and they have a lot of work to do if they are coming this way to try to advance one of those pawns. Let's see, if I did go ahead and play a3 like I thought I was going to before, this putting their king here was not great. Now they can't even attack the rear pawn because their king's in the way. But if I do play a3, now it makes even less sense to put their rook here, because then I think I would just advance again. On the other hand, I can't think of any other move that I can play right now that makes sense. I can't move my g pawn, so that I don't have to consider that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to bring my king forward, does it? I think I'm going to play a3. Okay, and they've brought their king again. Okay, well, whether or not they had brought their king or put their rook over here, I think my next move was going to be a2. And again, I can't move my g-pawn, and it doesn't make sense to make a king move. It also doesn't make sense to promote. They would just capture it. Then when I played here, they would put their rook in front of it. So I think I have to play a2. Okay, wow, they're still bringing their king. Okay. Well, again, if they had brought their rook over instead of their king, at this point I would capture it, I think, and promote. Or if they took this pawn, I would promote over here in the corner. But the rook isn't there, so I don't have the option of capturing. If I promote the b pawn, I think they'll take it with their rook. And then if I take and promote, they'll take that too. And then I will come over here and get this pawn. I don't think I could. Let's see. Both my pawns would be gone. Their rook would be gone. Their king would be on b1. And if I brought my king, they would bring their king. I would bring my king. And they would be here protecting that pawn. And I think the best I could hope for would be a draw at that point. In fact, I might end up having to backups at some point. Like if they moved side to side, I would have to back up. Then they could come around. And they got close enough, they would end up being able to get my other pawn. When I got this one, they could guard that one down. So it makes sense to promote in the corner, doesn't it? Then when they take, I'll take. So I'm going to promote to a queen. Oh, and it ended there. Wow. Okay, well, I don't know what else to say about that puzzle other than I'm kind of surprised I found the rook taking over here, but nothing else made sense. And that's what it worked out in each one of these moves. It looked like each was the only move that did anything for me. So it kind of led me down the path, as opposed to some puzzles which don't do that, or don't seem to. Anyway, the theme was passed pawns. That is correct. I'm going to give that a check mark, and we'll go on to the next puzzle. Okay, here I am playing with the white pieces. It's okay, it says white to move, but back here are the black pieces. So they've gotten around behind me. And my king started off. No, my king started off. Wait, I'm playing with the white pieces. Yeah, my king started off here on e1. Sorry, this is really throwing me off. So somehow my king went all the way over here. I don't know exactly what path it took. It might have gone over here somewhere and then came around. But they have checked me. Their king is way down here. Wow. Okay, well, I have to move out of check. That much is obvious. Or block. I can block the check. That is an option. However, I think that would be bad, wouldn't it? Really bad if I blocked the check with my queen. I mean, they could take. I wouldn't take back with my king, because then they would get my rook too. So I would take back with my rook, but then I'm still down, and they have a passed pawn here. Sorry, it's still throwing me off, but if I'm playing with the white pieces, this is a1 down here. Okay, yeah, the black pawns are coming down the board. Okay, yeah, the positioning is really throwing me off, because in a game, you know where your pieces started off, and you know how they got to where they are. And so all of that stuff makes sense. Also, you've just seen those pawns a few moves ago come toward you, so you know which direction they're going. But when they just present me a puzzle like this, and I've seen a couple of puzzles in books where it doesn't say black to move, and there's no A1 and B's, B2 and so forth listed on the board, and you just kind of have to guess which color you're playing with. But here it does say white to move, and it does say A1 down here. So, but yeah, that pawn's coming, and they'll have two pieces left, and I would still have the rook up here, but I guess the best I could do would be able to get behind that pawn. So that's not good. I think I need to get out of check. I don't think I want to get out of check this way, because that lines up with their bishop, for one thing. They could just then advance their pawn, and I would be in check again, and I couldn't come back because their queen's cutting off the entire sixth rank. Or they could just check again with their queen. I don't know which would be better for them. I'm getting out of check down here to a7 also looks like they could just check again, although I don't know if they would want to. I do know this, though. They need to keep checking me, because I have mate here. If it was my turn, which it is, and I wasn't in check, I think that's checkmate on queen to a4, because it would protect the rook, and of course they both cut off these files. Okay, can they keep checking me if I play queen to a5, king to a5? Do they have another check? They can't get down here to check me because my pawn's in the way. They could take my pawn, but then that's mate. Okay, I think what this comes down to is the fact that I have a mate in 1 if they can't check me anymore. And if I go here or here, they can check me again. If I block with the queen, they take it, we trade off the queens. They have more pieces than I do, they have a passed pawn, and I don't have the mate in 1 threat anymore. So I think it has to be king to a5, because then the only further checks that they would have would be to bring the queen way over here, and I would just take it. Okay, and again, kind of like the last puzzle, I think I've reasoned this out where nothing else makes sense, and they've kind of forced me to make the best move, but I don't know. We're gonna try king to a5 and see if that works. And again, if not, we'll find out why on the analysis board afterward. Okay, that was right, and I thought they were gonna check me again. Oh, okay, I see why they might have done this, because I was planning on putting my queen there on a4, which I thought would be mate, but it's not mate anymore because if I move there, their queen is guarding that position. But their queen's not protected here, right? That we talked about this. I know it threw me off, but their pawns are moving this way, so that pawn isn't protecting that queen. I should just take it, right? Because again, I don't have the mate anymore, and if I check with the rook, of course they'll take it, and I can't check with the queen over here. I should just take the queen, I think. Okay, it might be a trap, it might be a trick, but I think I just take the queen, and then they'll get my rook. Yeah, I think if I take their queen, then they get my rook, but I don't know what else to do. Because again, if I go here, they get my queen and then I take it back, but then I'm down. If I take here and then they take my rook, I'm up, I think. But then they can advance this pawn and they're attacking my queen, and I would have to be really, really careful. Oh, I guess I could, no, I couldn't check there because their king would be guarding that square. Wow. I'm going to take the queen. As always, we'll find out why it's wrong, if it is wrong. Okay, oh wow, it's still going. They took my rook. Ooh. This one's going to be tough. I do have checks, but I think my only checks are on the B file here, B5 and B6. So it was, oh no, I have a check over here too, on A4. But that doesn't win their bishop because their bishop's protected. Because again, their pawns are moving down the board. Please, go ahead and laugh at me if you want to, but it is throwing me off that the black pieces were down here and the white pieces were over there, but I'm going that way. Okay, let's think about this. Surely it's one of these checks, but I don't know which one's better. Well, let's just go through them. The check on B6, one advantage of that check is that it guards the possible advancement square of that pawn, because that pawn is, I assume, wanting to go forward now, because the bishop's still protected by the rook and the pawn, and as soon as this pawn moves, if my queen is still sitting there, like for example, if I just moved my king someplace because I thought it was funny, I think they're about to advance this pawn. That would attack my queen and get their pawn closer to promotion. But if I check, if I check here and here, then they have to respond to the check, but that's it. If I check on B6, they still have to respond to it. They still can't move the pawn. So I don't know. Do I have any other checks? I mean, I have a check here, but they would just take it. And then their king is perfectly placed to protect their pawn on their way down. If I check here, they're going to take my queen with their king. Same thing with this spot, or I don't know, bishop also. But those are my only checks, are they not? I can't check over here because their pawn's in the way. Let's see, what do they play in the event of this check? Oh, that's another thing that I should be checking. How many legal moves do they have in each of those cases? If I check on B6, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 legal moves. 5. They would have 5 legal moves in that case, and so if I check there, I'm going to have to evaluate every single one of those. How many legal moves do they have if I go here? They have 4. Not this one because my queen is closer, but still 4 legal moves. How many legal moves do they have if I check on A4? Because my king is protecting the queen, and the queen cuts off this, so they would only have 2 legal moves. Oh, I also have this check. I just realized. But I don't think that one's important. Okay, I think queen to a4 might be the best check just because it's so limiting. And if the king went to c3, which I don't think it will, I could then check by just coming over to the b file and I would have skewered their rook. So I assume then that it would drop down one, in which case I could still check on b4 and win the rook. Okay, the other checks don't have that move to it, that tactic. And this tactic looks like I can win the rook. Okay, I'm going to try it. This puzzle's already gone on longer than I thought it would. Is this only my second puzzle? And wow, I've gone on a long time. Okay, it did move up to line up with the rook, but I guess as we determined, the same thing would have happened here. I'm pretty sure I need to check on b4 and then win the rook because they can't move to defend it. Okay. And now, of course, I mean, nothing else makes sense other than taking this rook. Oh, wow. Okay. I was so nervous I was going to fail that. Oh my goodness, there were a lot of moves. I'm not even going to check to see how many there were. There's no theme listed. I don't know what I would put as a theme either. And now I do have to admit this. I paused the video to go back and check the puzzle archive to see if it counted the first puzzle. It was just bugging me. I didn't know if it had counted it or not. I admit it. I did go and check it, but it did count it. That's the first time in five or 6 weeks it counted the first puzzle, and it looks like it counted the points for it too. So I'm pretty happy about that. Let's go on to the next puzzle. I would like to get at least 4 or 5 in this video, but at the rate I'm going now, that's not going to happen. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, they've just captured something, but it's a puzzle, and we know that whatever they just did wasn't their best move, probably. It left us with something. What did it leave us with? It left us with a couple of checks. The rook can come check. I am playing with the white pieces. Okay, and this time I am going that way. I just wanted to make sure before I went too far. Okay, also obviously I can check their king any of those places, but probably not on a8 because of their rook. Are any of those better than the others? Obviously, no matter which one of those squares and which of my pieces I used to check them, they would only, well, I was going to say they would only have one legal move, but they would have a second legal move. I don't think they would play that, so I'm not going to. I think the chances against moving their queen back to block are pretty low, so I'm not going to count that as a possibility. But whatever I checked with, any of those 3 checks, I think their only reasonable move of their 2 legal moves would be to get the king out to h7. Now, let's say I checked with the rook here, once they moved the king to a7, I don't have a follow-up, do I? I mean, I could check here, then they could come out or they could capture. If they captured, I could check again with the queen and then they could go back up there. But then from there, the queen has, okay, maybe that's the best first check then. Queen to c8 might be the best first check because once the king comes out to the h file, I can check, oh, their queen is there. Wow. And their rook. So that wouldn't be the best idea. Okay, never mind. Wait. That's not the only place. Okay, if I check queen to c8, they come out. I can then check here on f, whatever that is. Sorry, f5. Why don't I know the names of the squares yet? There's only 64 of them. I should be able to remember those. Also, there's only 8 letters involved here and 8 numerals. All right, f5. Then they would have multiple choices. But going back would be their worst one because then I would have the rook to the back rank. Okay, so let's follow this out. They would come up here. They wouldn't go back because of the rook that I just mentioned, but they could come forward or block with the pawn. Okay, so let's do that then. My queen is here on f5. Their king is on h7. It's their turn. Which would you do? If they came forward to h6, I would have this check, and they would have to block with this pawn, I think. No, they couldn't go back because my queen is up here on f5. But then if they did block with the pawn, maybe, wow, okay. That goes too far. This one, they come out and I don't have a follow-up check. Let's just discount the rook check. I think the same thing is true if I play queen to b8. They come up here and I don't have a follow-up check. I'm in danger of being destroyed here, but probably not by taking the rook. Probably here, which would force me down one, and then that's mate. So I need to keep checking is my point. I think that's the only one that allows me a follow-up check, so that's the one I'm going to play, and then I guess we'll have to figure out the rest later. Okay, I'm looking. It still looks like the queen to f5 is my best follow-up. It's not my only follow-up, as we've mentioned, But I'm just not sure what I'm going to do if they block with the pawn. Actually, if they block with the pawn, then I would take here. What am I going to do if they move up? I guess if they moved up, I could always check here, and that would force them to go back. And then when they went back, I could check on h5. They would have to go back there, and I would have mate with the rook. Okay, I think we're going to play queen to f5. They did block with the pawn. Okay. Now this is my only reasonable follow-up check. Is it not? I think capturing the f7 pawn is the only thing that's good. But then again, they would have multiple choices, either the corner or here. I think either way I could follow with my rook. I'm going to try it. Oh, they went up. Oh, I can't follow with my rook because the pawn's in the way. Oh my. Well, of my 3 remaining checks, only one of them looks good. That's all right. I can't get back over here now. It's got to be queen to f8. And then they come down here. Oh my. I think they come toward me on h5 because if they went down, again, I could follow with my rook. So, well, what did they do? Okay, I check on f8. They come forward. Then what do? I can't check here with the rook because of that pawn. And I wouldn't want to come back here to check because of their queen. So I guess I would have to check in the corner. This looks really complicated, but I'm going to check on f8. Fingers crossed. Okay, they moved forward. It's got to be that, doesn't it? Because again, I have to keep checking. If I stop checking, they win. Oh, wait. Once I'm in the corner, I can protect that spot. Maybe that's it. Wait, I don't have anywhere else to check from, do I? Because I'm not going to check here. I'm not going to check here. I'm not going to check there because the queen guards that spot. So yeah, pawn, king, queen, those are all bad. I don't think there are any other checks. I mean, that one's also bad. So it's got to be queen to h8, right? Queen to h8 only leaves them one legal move. And then I check with the rook, maybe, which leaves them only one legal move. And then I check here and win their queen. Oh my. Okay, I'm going to check in the corner. Oh, fingers crossed. Okay, wow. Well, I can't check with the queen along this diagonal because they've moved to a light square. I can't check with the queen down here because they'll just take it, I think, on any of those spots. And that's the only place I can check with the rook. And as we've already said, if I stop checking, they win. Wait, there's another check. Okay, what about this one? Queen back. I started there, didn't I? What's happened since then? We've moved around. I picked off one of their pawns, but that's where I went first. Does that check allows them to just go back? Where my queen is now, it keeps them from coming back over here. My pawn keeps them from going there. Oh wait, that pawn's not defended. So if I check with this rook, that's not their only legal move. They could take the pawn. They would have 2 choices then. But nothing else makes sense, right? That it has to be this, rook to g2. Okay, again, fingers crossed. Oh, it just stopped there. Oh my. Well, what was I going to do after that? Because that's not mate. I could see it stopping if it was mate, but it's not mate. The king can get out of... Oh, it can also go here. King has 3 legal moves. Well, that was kind of a bummer. I'm going to click the I'm glad I got the points, and I'm glad I figured out the right moves, but what... I thought we were headed someplace. I thought it was going to teach me something. Let's see. They did... Okay, they looked like a bishop there. My only move was... Can you see those? It's really tiny, sorry. The queen to c8 was the only move, and it's not that big of an advantage. It's only +2, but the others are obviously not good for me. But yeah, the problem with rook to d8 was that there's no follow-up check. But this one left a follow-up check. So they had to go to king to h7, and then this... Okay. Now there's a huge difference, and now it's +5. So it went from +2 to +5 when they made their only legal move. So Stockfish was messed up on that. So this was best, obviously, or the puzzle would have ended with me failing. Now they do have choices here, as we said. They could go... If they go back, the rook checks, they have to block with the queen, I take it, and that's mate. So they weren't going to go back. If they had come forward, I would have played here, and they would have had to have gone back. And then I would have checked over here, forcing them back, and the rook would have gone down. Okay, we figured that out. So blocking with their pawn was the thing that they had to do. Then I took the pawn, okay. Now we're at +6. Okay, it was made into if they went down because of the rook. So they had to come up, which they did. Oh, okay. +5, +6, it's not sure. If I check down here, which I did, the king could have gone down, but that would have been made in 2, so it had to come forward. It did, and it could only go here forward because my pawn was guarding the other square. I came over here. It has to go here, right? And that's what it did in the puzzle. And then okay, it would have been even if I had checked back on c8. We would have been in a drawing situation. And it says in that case, They probably would have taken this pawn. Okay, why? But then it ended. It stopped here. And as you see, there are 3 legal moves. King to f5, king to f3. And it says taking the pawn would have been really bad for them. I think because, okay, it says if they took the pawn, I would have come up here to check again. But if they moved in front of the pawn, I would check down here. And if they moved behind my pawn to f3, okay, see, that's at first when I thought that was their only legal move, I thought, okay, well then I would check here, and when they moved out, then I would not take their queen. Really? Oh my. If they had king to f3, rook to g3, sorry, king to f3, rook to g3, then their king would have 2 choices. Oh, and and it does say that I would take the queen. Okay. Wow. All right. But it just stops there because they had 3 legal moves, but 2 of them are clearly better for the opponent than the other. I think the puzzle should have picked one. Maybe the problem is that I have multiple moves after that. So I'm going to try this. Okay, yeah, see, a puzzle won't continue if I have multiple moves after that. Okay, what about the other one, king to f3? It should have gone there. I only have 1 move. 1 move that leaves an advantage, but only one that's much better, right? That's a huge difference between +3 and +6. Oh, here. That's my +3 move, but this is +7 now. Yeah, I think the puzzle should have kept going. And now it doesn't matter where they go. I would take the queen, right? If they come down to f2, I take the queen. Oh, but it's not that much difference. Okay, I can see why it stopped where it did, but I felt like I didn't get anything out of that. I just captured a pawn. That's what I got out of this. I took the f-pawn. And I'm no longer in threat of being checkmated because I have continuous checks on them and a pretty good possibility of winning their queen before too long. Okay, on my end, I'm past 30 minutes, but I know I paused a couple of times and went back and checked. I probably edited out long sections of me just thinking quietly, so I'm going to play one more, because that's only 3. That's not enough for a video. I'm going to do one more puzzle. I probably shouldn't have gone to the next puzzle. This one looks like it's just out of the opening, and I don't like those. They've attacked my queen with a pawn. I should look for checks first. Also, I should look for ways to get my queen out of danger. What are the choices here? I can check, but their bishop captures there. I can check, but I think their queen would capture there. Do I have any other checks? I have a check here, but I don't like it because the bishop's behind, and then they have multiple choices to get out of check, and then I would have to worry about being in danger from the bishop. I can check here on d5, and they can't move this way because of the bishop, my light squared bishop, so they would have to go to one of those 3 squares. But that gives them 3 options. And after that, would I just take their queen? And they've already lost the right to castle, so I would just be okay? And after I took, I think that's it, right? They're not going to come forward because then their queen's undefended. I think we can discount that. If I checked on d5, they're going to go to one of these 2 squares. Probably back to the home square so they're not in the way of the bishop. And then I would take their queen, they would take it, and then I'd just develop pieces? Or is there something else? What else is there? Yeah, because if I check here on f4, like I first mentioned, and when they move out, not only is my queen in danger from the bishop, but then I don't have a good follow-up check other than, I guess, coming back here to e5. So I don't think that's great. And I could check by moving, wait, now that I'm looking at that dark square diagonal, look at that. I have a check with this bishop on h6. Is that it? Because then is that mate? Wait, is that mate in 1? No, because they could block with this, but then I would take that too, and I think that's mate. I don't see anything wrong with that. There's nothing they can block with other than this pawn, which I can then just take. My queen's cutting off all of this, and my queen's cutting off all of that, and their own piece is in the way here. And they can't block this check with the bishop, which would then be on f4. Okay, well, I'm glad I looked at this, tricked myself into looking more at this dark square diagonal, and since my g-pawn has moved, my dark squared bishop can get out. I think that's best, because I thought it had to be a queen move because my queen is in danger, but sometimes there's better things than saving your queen from danger, and one of those things is checkmate. I'm going to try bishop to h6. Oh, it just stopped. Well, I don't like them when they just stop, especially when there's only 1 legal move. Let's check the analysis board. I think that, and I played bishop to h6. Yeah, they only have 1 legal move. Oh, come on. Why couldn't it have done that? And then I have a very definite winning move here. Yeah, get out of here with these puzzles that stop before mate. It's a mate in 2 puzzle, but I can't add mate in 2 to the themes because it just stopped after 1 move. I apologize for only getting 4 puzzles right in this video, but this one was the easiest one, I think, at least in my opinion. The others, like as far as I remember, were difficult. The one before this, it went on like 6 moves or something and then didn't end either. It just kind of ended with me being able to check them and not being in danger of being mated anymore. Well, I feel like I got my chess brain workout today, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do have to go do some things around the house. For one, I have to replace a sink and a faucet in one of our bathrooms. That's going to be fun because I'm getting to the age where it's uncomfortable to stick my head and shoulders up inside a small bathroom cabinet and reach up and with a pipe wrench above my face and stuff like that. So that's going to be interesting. Hopefully I'll remember to tell you in the next video how successful I was. I have replaced them before, so I know what I'm doing. It's just, I'm not looking forward to being under there, especially with dripping pipes and etc. Anyway, wish me luck. I'll see you next time.